I got it, Pa. It wasn't easy, but I got it off of there.
Let me see that thing.
Grassrats Garage, how can I help you?
Is this Taryl?
Taryl Junior? Why, what's up? What can I help you with?
This ain't my mower. Give me the right one.
What are you talking about? Who even is this?
You know who this is. This is Big Grandma D.
Oh, crazy Grandma D, yeah. Yeah, I worked on that mower. That's definitely your mower. I remember we donated you that mower.
Yeah, well, it looks different. Someone changed something. I want to talk to Taryl.
All right, hold on. That crazy Grandma D's on the phone trying to say that we gave her the wrong push mower. She wants to talk to you.
Oh, great. Here we go again. Hello, Taryl here. How can I help you?
Yeah, give me my mower back. I want the right one this time.
That's your mower, crazy Grandma D. We washed it. That's why it looks so different. It's washed.
Yeah, well, it's not the same. Give me the old one back or I'm calling the police.
What are they going to do about a $40 push mower? This is a civil matter.
No, this is theft, and I want my mower back.
I don't know what to tell you, but that's your mower. What reason would I have to switch out a $40 push mower on you?
I'm calling my lawyer, and I'm gonna sue those work pants off you, boy.
That woman is crazy. Now you know why I drink.
What'd she say, Pa?
She said she's gonna sue us over that $40 push mower that we gave her. I'll see it when I believe it. Or whatever it is.
Yeah, I don't know a lawyer scummy enough to take on a case with that crazy Grandma D. It's just a $40 push mower.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it. She pulls this crap every year. Now let's get back to work.
All right, Pa.
Pterodactyl here. Today's how-to video, I'm going to show you how to do a valve job on this here Kohler Magnum 20. Now, as you remember, we did the carburetor video on this, and that's when I determined it also needed a valve job. So that's what we're going to do today. So the first thing we're going to do is take off this cover. Remove all these 3/8 screws all the way around the cover. I already removed the gas tank. On this particular model mower, because maybe you got a Kohler Magnum that doesn't have a gas tank strapped to the other side. Take this off too. I got a new air filter, so we'll throw that away. Now I've done valve jobs on the Briggs & Stratton opposed twin. I've never had to do one on one of these. Had to change coils on these. And then disconnect this plug for your voltage regulator, in case you don't know what that is. What's that, Taryl? What's that over there? Did I get them all? Now there's two hiding back here. These may break off. Now we should be able to pull this cover off. There we go, there's our dinner. And then you've got this rubber grommet there for your kill wire and your coil wires. Now we'll pull these covers off that are covering the heads. Again, 3/8. There's one over here, way in the back by the starter. Pull the plug wire off. Now we can get that off. And do the same on the other side. Now that we got this off, let's take a look at these valves. 1/2 inch. Oh yeah, see? This valve isn't sealing. This is the intake valve. I can turn that with my finger. I guess if your thumb is a finger. Yeah, I can turn it. It's not sealing. So what usually happens is the valve, the face of the valve wears down, and then you lose your clearance, your valve clearance. Yeah, look at this one. This one's turned. I'm able to turn this one too. See, we're at top dead center. Open, open, close. Top dead center. Both valves closed. You shouldn't be able to turn these. They're not sealing. And again, in my carburetor video, you know, you get that, it's got some compression, but not enough. You know, and then it gives it the, you got the feeling that, well, this thing needs, you know, there's something wrong with the carburetor. And then you sit there and mess with the carburetor and you adjust it and it won't idle because it don't have enough compression when you're at idle to keep the motor running. So let's bring the piston down and let's kind of feel around in here. See if we got any kind of ridge. See if we got a big deep ridge. No, not bad. We've got quite a bit of piston rock there. So these rings are probably wore out, but we're not going to re-ring it. We're just going to do a valve job. We're not going to get into a whole engine rebuild video on this here crawler. So that's what you do. You see what kind of ridge you got. This has got a lot of carbon built up on it. So you want to kind of scrape that off. Get down to the cylinder. And then feel. And if you got quite a bit of ridge, then you know the bore is wore. But there's no ridge. I can't feel any ridge. You know, because that's where the ring, top of the ring stops there. So that's why you feel for a ridge. And then you bring it to top dead center, and if you got quite a bit of piston rock, like this, your rings are wore out. So you need a set of rings. Especially if you're getting a lot of blow-by. Alright, let's check the other side. Now, for this cover on this side, there's a screw back behind the dipstick tube, and it's real difficult to get at, and it's even harder to get back in. So just take the spark plug out and just bend that cover out of the way. You're not going to hurt nothing. Again, this isn't a space shuttle. This is just an old lawnmower. So we got our piston top dead center. Piston rock, because we know the rings are wore out. And these valves on this side, they're not sealing either. Okay, so now we're remove the intake manifold and the valve covers and get at those valves so we can take them out. Now if yours has got a muffin cover, go ahead and remove that. Mine's a little more difficult to remove because well, that'll give you a little more access to stuff. I'm going to go ahead and pull out this vent tube that goes to the breather, and then we're going to take a 1/4-inch socket. We're going to remove our choke cable and our throttle cable. Remember what hole it was in for your throttle. Then I'm going to go ahead and just put the clamp and the screw back in here so I don't lose it. Put it in a few threads, and then we'll do the choke over here. And we'll do the same thing. Put the screw in the clamp. And then again, 1/2-inch socket. We'll take the bolts out that hold the manifold back. Oh yeah, we're gonna have to disconnect our governor link too. And we'll just do that down here. Now again, it's gonna have one of them crazy clips on there, like we had on the carburetor up here when we had to disconnect that link. So you're gonna take a tiny screwdriver and you're gonna pop this little fastener off. So just work it off. Get underneath it. And don't lose it. If you destroy it, you're gonna have to look it up and get another one. But you should be able to use it over. There. So that's what it looks like. It's like a little push-on nut. Let me clean it up some so you can see it. Show up good on that yellow. It's got all kind of dirt on it. There we go. That's what it looks like. And then there's a plastic bushing that's in here. And we have to pop that out. Now, our bushing just broke because it was old and it had a lot of heat. Heat probably destroyed it. So it just broke, so I'm gonna have to get a new one of them. I think I got these. And then our link will be disconnected from the arm here. The governor arm. So now we can finish taking the other bolts out to take the manifold off. Boy, I'm really messing this thing up. Should have took the fuel line off first. And then the throttle link, and then remove your manifold bolt. But I'm all out of sequence here. But it'll come off. Oh yeah, see? Got something else. Governor spring I forgot. Gotta disconnect that too. And that's right here. And remember what hole it went in. Ours is in the bottom. There we go. Alright. Now our manifold's off. With the carburetor and everything. Now we can get at our valve covers. We just have a single nut holding it on. It's a good time to clean all this crap out of here, all these boogers. And then we'll put new gaskets on, new manifold gaskets. See, they got a little tab on them. Little tab faces in. And we gotta clean up that surface. So 7/16. And then there's a copper washer, like a sealing washer that's on there. You don't want to lose. And you can just tug on the cover on this side. It'll come off. And then over here with the breather side, you're going to have the cover, this little breather filter, and this rubber piece of hose, and then the other cover. So this side you need 2 gaskets. You're going to need a gasket here and a gasket here. And then see this? This is like a little check valve here. This little thing. So you might want to check that, make sure that's good. So you're going to need three valve cover gaskets when you go to put it back together. Alright. Now we can get our valve removal tool and take the valves out. Alright, I went and looked up the specs for the valve clearances. Now, these don't have adjustable tappets like on the K series. So you got to do like a Briggs and you got to grind off the bottom of the valve stem to get the clearance. So, on your intake on these Magnums, you want between 3 and 6 thousandths. But on the exhaust, there was a serial number break. So if you've got an early one with this serial number range and earlier, 16 to 19 thousandths. And if yours is after that serial number range or later, 11 to 14. So there's no in between on this exhaust thing. You got to go by that serial number break. So 16 to 19 or 11 to 14. Ours falls in this range, the later. So our exhaust should be between 11 and 14. So I got a 3 thousandths and I tried it and I can't even get it in the intake. And on the exhaust, I could barely get it in there. It just starts. So we got no valve clearance at all. So that's a lot of our problem right there. So here's our valve removal tool. Pretty simple. It'll collapse the spring. And then we're going to remove the keepers with a magnet on a stick. There's our keepers. And then we'll put some grease on those keepers to act like glue when we go to reinstall it. That'll help. And you just pull the valve out. And we'll do the same for the exhaust. Now I went ahead and removed the springs and the keepers. Now you really don't have to do a valve job. You can leave them in there, but I thought I'd take them out anyway so you could see there is a difference. This was on the exhaust side. this keeper here. See how different it is? And you're probably wondering, why is it so different, Taryl? What is the significance of this? This is what's called a valve rotator. And what this does is it turns the valve on the exhaust side. They only put them on the exhaust side. And that's to help keep the valve from burning the face of it. That's the idea behind it. It's supposed to turn it. So I thought I'd just point that out to you real quick. Alright, so here's our valves. This is the intake. This is the exhaust. Now, they're both exactly the same, but don't get them mixed up. The exhaust valve's a lot harder. And they're usually marked, but I even ground on there a little bit. Thought maybe there'd be an X on there, but there's not. But you can generally tell by looking at it. You know, this one got considerably a lot hotter than this one. So look at the face of this valve, this exhaust valve. Look at that. Look at the groove. This thing is just plumb wore out. Really should be replaced, but I don't have any new ones. So I'm gonna try to resurface them. This intake isn't that bad, but the exhaust has really got a groove in it. So I looked up the angle of the valves, and again there was that serial number break, and it said if it was that earlier one, they were at 45, and the later one like ours, they said they were at 30. But they didn't say, they said both were at 30. It didn't say intake or exhaust. And I could tell by looking at this intake valve that that's 45. And I could tell by looking at this exhaust valve that it's 30. So I don't know what's going on with that manual, but that's what it said. They were leading you to believe that they were both 30. So make sure you check that if you're resurfacing your valves. But if you're resurfacing them, you're taking them to a place and they probably already know what angle they're at. They're not going to ask you. Up nice. Now I gotta set this at 30. Okay, I got our angle set at 30 for the exhaust. Gonna have to take quite a bit off. Isn't that pretty? All like brand new again. Okay, so now we're gonna have to set our latch. Piston top dead center. Both valves closed. And we gotta go between 3 and 6. So by doing that, we have to grind off the end of the stem here. Now you don't have a valve grinding machine at home like I have. So you're gonna have to do it on a bench grinder. And the best way to do that on a bench grinder is, if this is the grinding wheel, is to spin the valve as you're grinding it. And it's going to be a lot of trips back and forth from the grinder to the engine, because you don't want to take too much off. So if it's between 3 and 6, you're going to want to use a 3/1000 feeler gauge. So that way if you go over a little bit, you'll be within that 3 to 6 range. So to the grinder, to to the engine a little bit until you get that feeler gauge to fit in there. So mine, you know, accurately grinds the stem. But again, like I told you, you're gonna have to do yours on a bench grinder. So I already know I had no clearance. So I'm just gonna take a little bit off. See, my little wheel here turns it in. So I take a little bit off. And then I'll have to make 50 trips back and forth until I get that clearance done for all the valves. So I just took a little off. I'll go try it till I get my clearance. Yeah, I got a long way to go. But that's what you're gonna have to do. Bunch of trips back and forth till you get your clearance. Okay, these exhaust valves that I had to take quite a bit off of them, and they were just too thin. So luckily, my brother Apparel had given me a bunch of new old stock Kohler parts, and I had 2 brand new exhaust valves. So I went ahead and set the end clearance, like it said, and now, you know, of course you're gonna clean up this before you do that. I failed to mention that. Clean your surface off real good. Wire wheel and that. Get your seats all nice and clean. And then go ahead and lap them in. Put some lapping compound on the face of the valve. And then get your valve lapping tool. And go ahead and lap it in. There's mine right there. I was kneeling on it. And then you just want to go back and forth like this with some compound on there. So I went ahead and did that already on both of these valves. So they're all lapped, ready to go. So now we just gotta put it back together. Put our valve springs back on. Place all our gaskets and fire it up, fire it up. Now on the intake side of this Kohler Magnum, there's a valve guide seal. So you may want to inspect that and replace it. I checked these were good. They're still sealing. They're not hard. They're still pliable. So we're just going to use them over. And they fit up here on this, you know, on the inside. On the intake only, not on the exhaust, only on the intake. It just snaps right over the top of the guide that sticks out where the springs go. And make sure you take some carb cleaner, brake cleaner, and clean all the lapping compound off real good. So we're going to spray a little gel lube on the stem. So we have a little lubricant on there. And then we have to put our spring back in. So I got out my Briggs spring compressor, which is going to work better to reinstall these. And then I'll use the other type to put the keepers in. Yeah, that's a lot easier. Like I said earlier, I never did a valve job on one of these. It's hard to believe, ain't it? 40 years of working on this stuff. Never had to do one on a Magnum. Alright, we'll put the valve in. And I need a little help getting that keeper back. So now we'll take some grease, and this will act like a little glue for us, and our magnet on a stick. And get that keeper on that valve stem. So that's how it should look when you got it back in. Tricky. Then slowly release the knob, and it's going to slide over that and lock it in place. Now just think, you got to do that 3 more times. Okay, I went up to the dollar store and I got the rest of the gaskets and stuff I needed. Yeah, like you can get Kohler Magnum opposed twin parts at a dollar store. Alright, so Stens happens to make the gasket. So there's the OEM number, and there's the Stens head gasket number. That was the only gasket they made for this thing. The rest I had to get OEM Kohler. 3 of the valve cover gaskets. There's the part number, 5205501S. 3 of them, like I said. And 2 intake manifold gaskets, 5204109S. And then this little filter that went inside the valve cover, this little breather filter, and that's 231419S. Alright, now let's put the valve covers back on. Now this goes on like this, with this at the bottom and this little baffle this way. Even though it'll fit both ways, it goes this way. And another reason I know, you can see that little paint line there from where they painted it, where this goes. See that little line there. So I'll put our gasket on. Now if you want to put sealer on there, that's up to you. You can put gasket sealer, but I don't think it's necessary. Now we got to put our little sealing hose on. And that'll kind of help hold that in place. And then we want to put this filter over that hose. And then we got our other gasket. And then you got to kind of hold this gasket up, center it on there. And then we got our copper washer. And then our nut. Now don't go crazy when you tighten this. What you should use is a locking nut. A 1/4 locking nut. So that way you can set tension on that thing. Because look at this thing is threaded all the way down. And it's not going to tighten down. You're just going to end up distorting the cover if you crank down too hard on it. So I'm going to get me 2 locking nuts. I think will work better. Okay, I had a couple of nylocks I used. If you don't have a locking nut, another trick you can do is you can just take a regular nut, 1/4 nut, lay it on its side and hit it with a hammer. And it'll kind of oblong it a little bit. And that'll act like a locking nut. That's a little trick. So this cover is pretty much symmetrical. Doesn't look like there's any right or wrong way for it to go on. Just gotta put the gasket on there. There's no hose behind it. One of those rubber hoses. You know, I got a bunch of them rubber hoses. I'm gonna put one on there anyway. Yeah, I saved all these. I got them from different things. They're 4 Kohlers. They're all different sizes. This one looks like it'll be long enough. That way you get a little seal from the inside. And then that copper washer. All right, there's our dinner. So I'm going to go ahead and eliminate this mechanical fuel pump. I'm going to put my, do my trick with my vacuum operated pump, because I don't know how, well, yes I do know how old this pump is. It's still got the threaded bushings in there, threaded fittings, nipples, and the new pump comes with a different style. So I make up this plate, take one of the gaskets, and I make up this plate, and I drill and tap it for 1/8 pipe tap. I put this fitting in there. In this case, I could have took this fitting off. I could even use that 91 if I want. When I put this on there, have that hose come out at a 90. That's probably what I'll do. Instead of using this one, I'll use a 90 fitting. And then we'll hook up a vacuum operated pump. We'll eliminate that mechanical one, which is expensive. And I know the aftermarket ones, they don't last. I put an aftermarket one on a customer's mower, and the old one lasted about 20 years or more, and that aftermarket one didn't last a year. So I'm going to take this fitting out, hose and all. And I'll put some Teflon tape on there, put it in there, and then we'll just take the old screws and put that plate on there. Alright, I got my plate on, my fitting in, and I got it tight. And then we'll hook that up after we get the heads on. Make sure that all the old head gasket material's off. We'll put the heads on and torque them. Then we'll put the manifold back on. It should be pretty much done. So I got the head on. Pretty self-explanatory. The two longer bolts go here and all the shorter ones go there, and the nuts go there. And this is the torque pattern. Start in the middle, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 15 to 20 foot-pounds, which is about what, for 1 foot-pound is 12 inch-pounds. So you would take 15 times 12, and that would give you your inch-pounds. So 12 times 20 is 240, because we're going to go to the max. So 240. And then you just want to go gradual increments. Until you get to 240. And then you just keep bouncing around. That would be 7. And oh, I got it upside down. That sounds wrong. But you get the idea. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right up here to 8, and then this would be 9. And just keep doing that until it clicks. I got the manifold ready to put on. Remember those little tabs to the inside? And I got the bolts in there to hold it. So we'll snake that in here. And then I'm going to go ahead and hook up that governor spring. Now carefully turn it. Get it lined up. You don't want the gasket to come off on you. Try to get them bolts started. come over here and do the same thing. And then tighten them down. Stuff falling everywhere. Sure is a torque spec on these. They're about the same as the head bolts. I'd go about 150 inch-pounds. Alright, governor springs hooked back up. Now we gotta hook this link up. Remember this thing broke down here? That plastic thing? So I went and I got a bunch of these different plastic connectors for other crawlers. I'm gonna see if I can get one of these to work and we can eliminate this little clip thing. See if we can get one of these to work. It fits in the hole. See if it'll fit in the rod. Yeah, this white one. And then you just snap it. There, it works. That holds it in place. So, you want the part number for that. White, there's two numbers. There must be another one that's missing. So it's probably this one. 47, 157, 158, I'm sorry, 07. But hey, take them all in. Take all these part numbers in. This is the black one. So we got vacuum on here. This is a Briggs fuel pump. This will be fuel coming in and this will be fuel going to the carburetor. Might as well go ahead and hook up the rest of our stuff. Let's hook up back our choke cable back up. And we'll hook our throttle cable back up. Alright, we got the cylinder covers back on. Now make sure that your wires for your voltage regulator are up here before you go and put this back on. This other baffle. Otherwise, they're going to be caught behind there and then you're going to have to take it apart again. So lay that in there. Now we can put the cover on. You got to get it all around all this sheet metal. And got to get our plug wires back in here. Our kill wire. This little grommet. Come on. I have to put a little lubricant on it. There we go. And get this fitted and put all them screws back in. Alright, so here's our vacuum operated pump. We've got our fuel coming in. This is our vacuum line. And this is the fuel line going to the carburetor. which we ran behind the manifold like they did the original one, and went in there. So now we're ready to fire it up, fire it up, fire it up. All right, let's fire it up. Fingers crossed. Choke out.
surge because I leaned out to low speed, so then I had to open up the low speed to get the surging to stop. Let's throttle it up again. A lot better than it did. That's because it needed a valve job. So, subscribe to this YouTube channel, Taryl Fixes All. Follow me with your junk lawnmowers on Facebook and Instagram. And go to our Taryl store and buy some Taryl apparel. You got to be wearing this stuff while you're watching my videos, otherwise you can't watch them. And as always, there's your dinner. Woo! Forever! Boy, I don't want to do one of them again.
Briggs one's a lot easier.
Yeah, sounds like it wants to start.
Oh, well look who it is. If it isn't my two favorite guys, Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
You got 5 seconds to state your business. Otherwise, you're going over that fence again.
Whoa, 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 hold on. Aren't you in enough trouble as it is?
What are you talking about?
I believe you guys know my client, a one Miss Dorothy Smith.
No.
Who's that?
Crazy Grandma D.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course.
That crazy nut job.
She hired me to take on a case. I believe you guys gave her back the wrong push mower, and you have no intentions on making it right?
No. That's her mower, Ronnie. We just washed it. We go through this same crap every year with her.
Well, she's fed up with you guys. So now she's taking legal action. But maybe there's some way we can make a little deal, you know? Settle this thing out of court.
What are you talking about, Jurgenstein? She has no case. She's got a working push mower. It's over. It's done.
Huh, yeah, well, since you don't have the paperwork to back it up, this is gonna be a pretty open and shut case.
What are you talking about? I just so happen to have the paperwork. Right here.
Ah, crap! I was counting on you not having that paperwork. Duh. Well, maybe we can still come to some sort of deal here.
Yeah, sure, Ronnie. No problem.
Hope I didn't wrinkle your lawsuit. He'll never learn.
I believe you guys know my client, a one Mr. Mrs. Dorothy Smith. Miss Dorothy Smith. Nobody's gonna marry that psycho.
I'm gonna work. Oh, wait a minute. I'm gonna call my lawyer and I'm gonna sue the pants off you, boy.
I'll see it when I believe it.